All right, so anyway, back to this. Your problem set. Um, did I talk to your class in particular about when these are typically collected? No, okay. In a normal year, these are collected, the set of questions are collected, let's say the day of a quiz or a test. So this is a real life scenario here. Your first quiz, which I just completed, will be September. That whole holiday throws me off. It's scheduled, I believe, for September 1st. No, just kidding. I lied. September. Why can't I read the calendar? September 8th, I think, is kind of where we're aiming for our first quiz. Okay? Next week, we should be able to cover the first 4 sections of the chapter. So your quiz will be over the first 4 chapters. Okay? Chapter 1 is really just a, hey, let's get our minds back into science mode. Not necessarily a whole lot of content, okay, but just a quick summary of what you've learned up to this point in chemistry, okay? When I say quick, it is very quick, all right? So I will tell you next week what questions that will be due when you have your quiz, okay? Now, with our current situation, what's going to happen is, let's say I give a quiz on like a Friday. You're not here on Fridays, are you? So what'll happen is the B group will have their problem set questions due on that Friday, in which the quiz is going to be taken. You kids will just turn yours in on Tuesday, the next time I see you, okay? And it's going to probably flip-flop back and forth between A and B. I think that's just the easiest way to do it. I mean, I don't think there's really any other way around it, okay? And I could be mistaken. I think it is September 8th. But anyway, so here's the list of problems. Again, anything I really hand you, unless told otherwise, put your name on it as soon as you get it, okay? Because every chapter, and I'm not saying like once or twice a year, it's every chapter, someone always misplaces anything, really. So put your name on there, and that way when I find it, I know who to yell at. And if by chance you lose it and it's not in my room and it cannot be found, or let's say it gets just torn to shreds, because you're so excited to be doing these that you're jumping with joy, yes, I can give you another copy of it, okay? All right. The next thing I'm going to give you is, first week is always a mess, the metric symbol prefixes, okay? You're going to hopefully know the majority of this by heart after the first few chapters, okay? We use these all the time, these metric prefixes, okay? Now, I will say that how it's kind of written on here is a little interesting here, okay? So when we start working with these, I'll explain to you kind of how it's laid out. Again, put your name on these. Okie dokie. Next, I tell you, I hand out a lot of stuff early on. This is your chapter 1 test review. Okay, I believe I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again. You get the chapter review for the test at the beginning of every chapter. That way, you have it, and you're going to have it weeks in advance of the test. Because if you wanted to, you could have this off to the side. And let's say, okay, the first thing is identify the types of state of matter in which they can be in terms of shape and volume properties. Okay, when we start talking about solid, liquid, and gas, you could be like, oh yeah, that's really cool, that's awesome, yeah. You know, you can write little notes down as we go, just to kind of aid in your studying. So again, put your name on here. And you also notice towards the bottom, anything that I have that will be short answer or math-related problems or things that you have to write out, I call them free response questions. Okay? Typically, my tests are going to be about 10 to 15 multiple choice and anywhere from 3 to like 6 or 7 free response questions. Okay, just depends on the content. Before every test, we review in class or through Kahoot. Okay, and I also post solutions to the free response questions from your review to Classroom. Okay, so a lot of these down here, you will see the solutions. If I don't have them already built into this, you will see the answer and the solutions on Classroom. Okay. So make sure you look at those. And the last thing I want to hand out to you today are your chapter notes. Okay? And lastly, put your name on. Okay. And when you get these, you're going to notice that at the top right of each slide is a number. I started doing that this year. That way, if I'm doing a live stream or if I'm making a recording and posting that recording to Classroom or YouTube, and I reference a slide number, you know exactly where we're talking about. Okay? So it should be fairly easy for you to find out where we're at in terms of our discussion. Any questions on that? Okay. Just a real brief rundown before I kind of let you loose on what we're supposed to be doing today. When it comes to points, I do total points for my class. Homework, like your problem sets or anything else like a pre-lab, that's 10 points. Quizzes and post-lab questions are 20 points. Tests are 100 points. Okay? Now, when I assign notes, I'm going to be either checking them in class or I'm going to be putting something up there on Classroom for you to fill out. But a section of notes is 5 points. Okay? But what happens if a single chapter has, and we'll come across some of these, what happens if it has 8 sections? How many points would notes be worth? Olivia. If each section is 5 points, and there's possibly 8 sections in a chapter, 40 points of just notes. And I'll tell you what, it's some of the easiest points that you can do in this class. But think about that. If you decide, I'm not taking any notes for this chapter that has 8 sections, you just lost 40 points. That's almost half a test. So they can add up real quick, even though each section is only worth 5 points. Okay? I don't do notes as a means of just torture you. Okay? You really need to be on top of things when you come in here, especially when we start getting into chapter 2. Okay? Maybe some new content in there. So I will always want you to be read and prepared before you come into class to learn that material. Okay? You might think it's redundant, and in some ways it may be, but guess what? The more times you hear something or see something, the better off the more likely you're able to remember and recall. Okay? So, plus redundancy is always a good thing. if you ever watch anything, like I'm a big space nerd, like NASA and everything like that. They build in numerous redundancy plans and systems into their materials, just in case something doesn't work out the first time. Speaking of NASA, did anybody watch the launch this summer of the astronauts to the space station? All right, it's really awesome though. But you've all heard of SpaceX, right? Yeah. Well, last summer I actually got to witness a launch and return of some of the rockets, and that was amazing to see. It was just unbelievable. But you know, hopefully my interest in that kind of stuff will kind of interest you as well. Yes, I like science stuff. Anyway, any questions about anything we've discussed over the last day and a half? No. Okay. Did you all check Facebook? I keep wanting to say Facebook. Classroom and emails this morning. Did you all get in the habit of that? I see some people. Okay. Well, you should have seen that your first assignment, and I honestly, as soon as I got here to school today, I'm like, I totally goofed on the assignment. I put it in the wrong format. But you know what? It is what it is. Oh, no, I've started saying that saying now. I'll fix it for later years. But you should have received a notification that I had posted your first day assignment. When you get into classroom here in just a little bit, there's a series of about 7 questions that you need to answer. Okay, please answer in complete sentences. Just tell me a little more about yourself. You'll see the questions are very general. I do read these. Okay. So did everybody bring a device of some sort today? You need one? Okay. You need one too? Okay. Everybody else good to go? All right. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop the recording now because I just wanted to see if there's anything else I mentioned.